you 7 reasons that you should adopt a Jack Russell Terrier. So stick around and we will be right back. Okay guys, as promised, we have 7 reasons to uncover here about why you should adopt a Jack Russell Terrier. I know that it's kind of one of those dog breeds that people can sometimes be on the fence about because they've either read that they're too hyper to handle, that they have some behaviors that aren't always desirable, but we are going to put that talk to rest today and go through each of those 7 reasons in depth and give you a few examples showing Luna in action so you can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. Okay guys, so reason number 1 that you should be adopting a Jack Russell Terrier, or something that you should be excited about if you plan on adopting one soon, is these dogs are crazy loyal. One of the most loyal dogs I think you could choose to adopt. These dogs are connected at your hip. They will follow you everywhere. Some of you are probably thinking that that may or may not be annoying, but it's really not. With these guys, they don't necessarily make it a nuisance. They just want to be at that center of attention, but that doesn't necessarily mean you always have to be playing with them, petting them, interacting with them. They just need to be around. Once they recognize that this is your house, you're the owner, you take care of them, these dogs are about as loyal as it gets, and they are going to be sticking to your side, protecting after you. Just an overall awesome dog to have when it comes to loyalty. All right guys, reason number 2 that you should be adopting a Jack Russell Terrier, or something that I love about owning Luna here, is these dogs are small. So I know there's a ton of people who only prefer big dogs, whatever the case may be, but I've owned a big dog for almost 7 years. I know the pros and cons of that. I had never owned a small dog like Luna here before her, and now I'm realizing all of the benefits that come with that. First of all, makes dog food a lot cheaper, which is nice. Still stick with the name brand food, a good food for their overall nutrition, but feeding her is a lot different than feeding a 100-pound lab. Number 2 with being small is you get the benefit of they just don't take up all of the room on the couch or a bed if they're allowed on furniture. I mean, as you can see, she's slid right under my arm here for this video, but it's a nice benefit to have whenever they don't take up all of the space and they're just easier to kind of have running around the house without it being an issue. And then another thing that people probably don't take into consideration is just how much easier it is to travel with her, whether you're using a crate or just crate chaining a small dog in general. It's pretty nice because you don't need that giant size crate and you don't need a full-size SUV or truck. So whether that's with a crate inside of the vehicle or you let them sit freely in the vehicle, whatever the case may be, it's just nice owning a smaller dog. All right guys, reason number 3 that I love these Jack Russell Terriers and why you should adopt one is they are cheap to own. And when I say cheap, I'm talking about all the way around. Dog food doesn't cost you a ton if you're using like an auto subscription to Amazon, Chewy, whatever the case may be. I think she runs us about 20 bucks a month. She gets 2 smaller size measured out cups of Blue Buffalo a day, 1 in the morning, 1 at night. So that is much cheaper than owning a big dog, clearly. And then you have the other expenses, you know, like all of the dog toys, all of her collars, leashes, any kind of shock collar training you have for them. So there are some expenses, but overall when you get a smaller dog, unless they run into like these major health issues, I mean, you're looking at a much cheaper dog to own in general. She's about 10 pounds, maybe not quite yet on 2 years old, but overall much cheaper than my yellow lab to have on a monthly kind of recurring budget and just the one-time fees that you have with them in the beginning. All right guys, reason number 4, and I really like this one, this is huge strong points, is these guys are the king of being exercise partners. They can do just about anything you'd want them to do on an exercise standpoint. If you're talking about going for a run, they are excellent at it. Might not be showing off her running skills now because we're just playing in the living room, but these dogs can run. They are great with cadence. They are great with the lead once you teach them how to use it, and then they can do other exercises too. So you have other things like if you just want to go for a walk, they're good swimmers. They could do rollerblading. You could probably even do some kind, you might be able to figure out how to take them with a bike. So if you like to go cycling or ride a bicycle, I'm sure you can make it work, but that one might take a little more practice for them to figure out. But overall, when it comes to being good at exercising and a dog that's going to keep you young, active, and healthy, this is the dog to get. And what's even better about it is you don't really have a choice. You don't necessarily need to go running 3 miles a day with them, but with no exercise for these dogs, they are absolutely crazy dogs if they don't get any exercise. So you have to make sure that you're doing something with them, which can be a con, I guess, if you want to look at it like that. But in my opinion, I kind of wanted a dog that forced me to interact with them in that fashion because it keeps me healthier, active, and moving around. So a dog that can keep up and is not a pain to do exercises with, that's awesome to me. Huge benefit for those of you who like to do the same. So for those of you that enjoy that kind of interaction and the exercise, you should really look forward to that characteristic of the Jack Russell Terrier. It's pretty awesome. All right, guys, it may not look like it right now with the way she's behaving, but my next reason number 5 on this list is these dogs are fantastic guard dogs. I have a blog post that discusses this that I will link in the description below, but she is alert and she is protective of her owners and her family. More so my crazy son over here that's jumping around like a madman. When it comes to sticking by our side if there's other people around or alerting us that somebody is coming up the driveway, whatever the case may be, when it comes to the traits of a good guard dog, she has it. Wow, I'm making a real bad example of her eating my kids' toys right now, but she's being pretty crazy. We'll let her get away with it until I think she might actually swallow it, then we'll take it from her. But yeah, guys, awesome guard dogs. That is reason number 5. All right, guys, here's the proof in the pudding for reason number 6 is these guys, whether you've read differently or not online, I don't know what you've read, what you believe right now about Jack Russell Terriers, but these dogs are fantastic with kids. Whether you have heard differently, I want to argue that that is not true, or that there was something maybe with the owners not training them to act accordingly around kids, but she has been zero, I mean literally zero issue for interacting with my son. The worst case I have ever seen with her, if we're being fully transparent, is when they are young, they are nippy, not in an aggressive biting manner, nothing like that, but they do take a while to understand that instead of going up to give a quick kiss on the face, she used to almost kind of nip at his lip a little bit. It never bled, nothing crazy, but when he was 2 and she was a puppy, he would still freak out like most 2-year-olds do and act like it was the worst pain on the planet, even though he was fine 30 seconds later. So awesome with kids. They play, this is normal for them. This isn't scripted what you're seeing right now. I didn't say, hey, can you go be crazy with the dog for this video? This is just kind of what they do, and I try and get this kind of stuff on footage for you guys to see, but these dogs are good with kids if you take the time to give them some discipline and training. It's not going to be something you need to worry about. Right, Rowan?
Yes.
Is Luna good?
Yes.
All right, guys, last reason number 7 that you should be adopting a Jack Russell Terrier is it's always entertaining. They find a way to do something that's going to make you laugh. Sometimes they'll annoy you. Sometimes you've got something to fix or clean up, especially when they're young. That's going to happen with any dog, so all the bashing of Jack Russells just being these chew monsters and destroying everything. Maybe that's true when they're young. I mean, she did chew her fair share of things, but guess what? All dogs do that, so there's no reason not to adopt a Jack Russell. If you don't want a dog that's going to chew something up that you don't want chewed when they're young, don't adopt a dog. It's not a Jack Russell's fault that dogs like to chew, that they go through teething, and that they need proper training to learn to do what you just saw right there on camera, is a gentle kiss. If you don't correct the behaviors, they don't just figure it out. They're extremely smart, but they can't read your mind, so you need to relay messages to them. But overall, they are just awesome in that respect. Do it again. Rowan says, give me some kisses. Give me some kisses. All right, as you can see that they're pretty good friends by now, but hopefully this video was not just meant to brag about Jack Russells and how awesome they are. In fact, if you guys on Tuesday, on next week's video is going to be one of the downfalls of Jack Russells. The downfalls do exist, but it's hard to find a downfall unless it's jumping. These dogs do jump like crazy, but there is downfalls, but those same downfalls come with all dogs. So again, if you can't handle some of those things that come with owning a dog like her, then you probably just shouldn't get a dog unless it's the most mellow animal on the planet that you're adopting. Those things happen. So I hope that this video demonstrated and took away some of those myths about Jack Russells and kind of showed that it's not always true and that a lot of the power falls in the owner's hands. So if you adopt them, work with them, it doesn't matter. A ton of my videos say this. If it's 5 minutes a day or a half hour, whatever you have time for, work with them a little bit. I mean, they're a loving dog. Yes, sometimes they go a little bit overboard, but they don't know any better until you teach them. And I hope that anybody that's on the fence right now watching this decides to adopt, and it was enough to convince you that it's a good dog to own. We have certainly enjoyed her in our 2 years that we've had her. There has been some downtimes, but overall this is an awesome dog, guys. Cheap to own, all the other 6 reasons that I mentioned. If you're thinking about it, go adopt one right now. Are you curious if you should get a Jack Russell Terrier or not? Well, good, because this is the video for you if that is the case. So make sure you stick around for this whole video so that I can cover 7 reasons why you should not adopt a Jack Russell Terrier. And for now, guys, let's go ahead and start diving into these 7 reasons why you would not. Look at her. What are you eating? Come here. Let's make that reason number 1. Eating stuff that you shouldn't. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Like I was saying, guys, let's cover these 7 reasons why you should not get a Jack Russell Terrier if you are currently on the fence. Okay, guys, Luna's here helping me out with this video here today, doing her army crawl. And let's start with reason number 1. Look at her posing all perfectly for the camera here. Reason number 1 you would not want to adopt a Jack Russell Terrier is if you do not like hyper dogs. Oh no, she's running away now. Guys, these dogs can be pretty hyper. So if you're kind of a calm person, if you don't like that commotion in the house, a Jack Russell Terrier probably isn't for you. These guys like to jump, they like to run around, they need plenty of exercise. If that doesn't fit your lifestyle, you might want to consider a dog that prefers to lounge around a little bit more. Luna. Reason number 2 that you would not want to adopt a Jack Russell Terrier, guys, is if you do not like to do any extensive training. Jack Russell Terriers, while they may be extremely smart, do require training, and they require it to begin right away. They respond great to it when you provide it to them, but they absolutely need it. Otherwise, they're kind of just a madman running around the house. So if you're not really into that, if you're not digging that whole process of going through the training, getting them up to speed on what is okay and what is not okay to do, might not be the best dog for you. But keep in mind that almost every dog needs some form of training. So I wouldn't necessarily say that this is a deal breaker, but I would say that they can test your patience in the beginning, and if you can rough through it with the training, they can become one of the best dogs you could ever adopt. But key word is there, if you can rough through it in the beginning. So keep that in mind. That is reason number 2 why you should not adopt a Jack Russell Terrier. Luna. What trouble were you just getting yourself into in there? Tell us, please. Guys, reason number 3 why you would not want to adopt a Jack Russell Terrier is if this is your first dog. Now, that is also something that I would not necessarily say is a deal breaker. It is doable if you really want one and it's the dog of your desires. But I had already owned a dog prior to adopting her. I've actually owned several dogs. So just general dog knowledge helped me out and helped me get acclimated, and I already knew kind of what to expect. If this is your first dog ever, that hyperness plus the training we just talked about, it might be too much for you. So if it's your first dog ever, keep that in mind. Again, not a complete deal breaker if you really have your heart set on one, but be ready to socialize them, train them, discipline them, the whole 9 yards right out of the gates. Otherwise, you know, they're gonna push you to your limits being the first dog that you've ever owned. Luna? Reason number 4, guys, that you would not want to adopt a Jack Russell Terrier is if you do not have time for exercise. You have to be able to get these guys some exercise. Now, if you have a big yard and it's fenced in, that's probably going to be suffice for them to be able to run around, do their thing, have some fun, burn off some energy. But if you don't, you absolutely should be dedicating some time to get them out, either on a walk, on a run, whatever. It doesn't matter what you do with them as long as you provide some. But this is a dog that absolutely 100% needs some form of exercise to calm down, to thrive, for their behavior to be better. It's just a great behavior modification you can use for a Jack Russell Terrier. So if your schedule is too demanding, you absolutely cannot provide any exercise, there would never be any time, it's probably not a good idea for you to adopt one of these guys. The Notorious Jumping. These dogs got hops. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm just kidding, guys, but it is a big deal. If you don't like jumping, maybe you could train it out of them, actually. So again, maybe not a deal breaker, but if you don't want a dog that can spring up in the air, that shows their excitement through jumping, that greets you with some jumping, maybe not the best dog you could ever adopt. What do you think, Luna? How often do you jump non-stop? About 5 feet in the air, it feels like. This dog is a jumper for sure, so could be a reason you decide not to adopt one. Just keep that in mind, that they can jump high. Makes a difference on the fences you'll decide that you're going to use to keep them in the yard. Even the baby gates you use to keep them behind a certain room in the house, they're probably going to clear over it. Another thing to keep in mind, if you don't like jumpers, probably not the dog for you. Reason number 6, guys, this one is super obvious, but it is worth noting. But if you don't like small dogs, and yes, there is an entire part of the population in every country that is more of a middle-sized to big dog fan. She's full grown. What you see is what you get with her. She's past that growth phase. So if you're not a small dog fan, then a Jack Russell is not going to be the dog that you want to adopt. All right, guys, and the last one, and this one can be very annoying to some people. It doesn't bother me depending on the day, depending on what kind of mood I'm in, but it definitely can be annoying at times. I'll throw that out there. But if you do not like a dog that is clingy, you don't want a Jack Russell. This dog is affectionate. They want attention. They are clingy. I mean, she has free reign of the whole house right now, and my other dog is in the other room just around the corner, but she will not leave my side now that I'm in here. Even though I'm making this video and making her uncomfortable, she's gonna be right next to me. This dog, if I were to whistle, she's gonna run right to me. She's gonna try and just cuddle up in my lap. It's a clingy dog. They love the attention. They love their owners and their family. They're protective of them. But if that's something that's going to bother you, or they're just always at your ankle side, probably not the dog for you. Come here, Luna. She always does this army crawl. All right, guys, so that is the 7 reasons why I would not adopt a Jack Russell if you're currently on the fence. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of the dog. I own one. I advocate for them. I think that they're awesome, but for those 7 reasons, if any of those or a lot of those fit you, maybe you should be looking at another dog. There's plenty of terriers. There's plenty of dogs in general. Do your research and find one that fits your personality and your lifestyle better. Overall, I think they're one of the best dogs you can adopt. They're affectionate, they're smart, they respond to training, and they're hilarious with some of the things that they do. So I'm a fan. Maybe you're not. Drop a comment below and let me know if you are a fan or not. But that is about all I have for you in this video, guys. As always, Luna and I appreciate you coming by. If you guys find these kind of videos helpful, if they've helped you raise your terrier, teach them any tricks, or just you've had fun watching them, be sure to give us a thumbs up down below. comment on the channel. Let us know what kind of videos you want to see in the future, and be sure to subscribe down below so that you are notified when our new videos come out. And guys, we appreciate you. Do not forget to head over to terrierowner.com. Check out all of our useful resources on that website, and we will see you in the next video. Take care.